Hello Ali, thank you very much for wanting a reading with me and putting your trust in me and everything. Like, it's still weird to me that people want readings from me and it's still weird to me that the feedback I get is really good. I don't know, yours might be the first terrible experience. No, but yeah, you wanted some general guidance really, but you've also got some like romantic stuff going on in the background that you'd like to know a bit more about. Someone that you're seeing right now that you're not really sure is the best thing or not, I'm assuming. Maybe some financial stuff as well. So what I've done, you're gonna hate me for this, I've snuck onto your YouTube channel and I've played a video. I've got it on mute because I find it really helpful to see pictures of someone to kind of like get their vibe. I don't really know, but I tried to keep it on mute so I don't hear anything that gives information off. Not that you would on the video, but it might make me make some assumptions about you or something, so I tried to keep off people's social media as much as possible. I just go on it for a photograph. I put it down here. I cut once, I cut twice. Ooh, cut twice. Usually you would do this, but obviously I'm doing the reading for you. Number 1, this is you. This is number 2, what crosses you. Number 3 is what's beneath you. Number 4 is your previous life. No, your previous past. What are we even on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what's above you. We'll get into what all of that means in a minute. Your video is just finished, so I'm restarting it. Next card is your near future. Then we've got next one, which is you, like how you present yourself. This is your house card, so it's your environment. This one's your advice card, that's what I like to see it as anyway. And this one is your far future. People get so scared about that one, but we'll talk about why you shouldn't be in a minute. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a general feeling of, well, no, I'll give a general breakdown of each card, what the position means, and what the card in a textbook fashion means. So like, I'll just show you the card and be like, this card represents blah 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 blah. And then after I've gone through all of the cards, I'll tell you a more specific meaning behind all of them put together, because not only do they mean their own things in their own positions, once they're put together they also can mean something else. So once again, this card is going to be representing you in the middle of the situation, in the middle of everything going on right now. It's the truest card to who you are out of all of these in the deck as a whole. Like, they all mean you, but this is more like on the surface of things, who you are as a person. So here we get the 3, 4, 5, 6 of Pentacles, and you can probably tell just by looking at this already, this is quite a giving card. This person, I mean, this card can either represent somebody who is being charitable and giving a lot to the people who need it the most, who need it more than you, or it can be on the flip side of that, so receiving help and receiving a lot from somebody else. I feel like this is more of a giving vibe, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I feel that you give a lot, you think of others before yourself. You aren't a very selfish person. I think that you spend a lot of time wondering how you can help other people, and then you spend even more time helping them. All your time just goes down the drain really, because you're constantly on the lookout for other people and helping other people, perhaps more than yourself, which could be telling us something. But when I say these definitions behind each card, I want you to hold on until the end of the video, because they could actually change and alter when other things come up, like I just explained. Hope that makes sense. The next one is the card that comes across you. So this could be a card that hinders you or benefits you. So it comes across you because it literally makes you the greatest ally can possibly be, or it really knocks you down and keeps you back from being an amazing ally. Oh, this is 100% telling me there's a hindrance here. The Devil card is about, it's not like death or anything like that. It's literally about being restrained and held back, and kind of whether it's from a person, like a literal person who's holding you back and telling you what to do and how you should be and not allowing you to be yourself and free, or the Devil can sometimes be yourself. Like, the Devil card in general is just representing someone who is being tied down to something, And the good thing about this card is if you look carefully, you see the little two people at the front, they have chains around their necks. And if you look even closer, the chains are actually really, really loose, which represents the ability to change that. So you might see the devil card and say, oh my god, I'm scared, the devil's after me. But the chains around your neck are loose because you're able to take them off. These people stood there aren't taking them off, but they're like still staying next to the devil as if they are stuck with him, but they are not. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. Whether this is coming against you in the whole giving to others kind of thing I was just telling you about, perhaps that is chaining you, perhaps you're having to look after somebody, or you are taking care of someone that's not necessarily holding you back from being a great person, but maybe it might be holding you back from doing the things you want to do in life, or is keeping you away from being free. I like to do this one and then this one next, and then do the previous and future, because these two are quite similar. This one's below you because it's sort of like your subconscious. So this is the sort of thing that you might see and not agree with, because it's the kind of thing that sits in the back of your brain. You might not realize it's there. It's sort of the root of everything going on right now, so you haven't really explored it yourself. You might not even realize it, or you might see it and be like, I understand how that makes sense. But it's usually the thing that led you to everything going on, is the bottom point of the issue. Hope that makes sense. So we've got a Two of Cups here. Interesting, it's very similar to your present card, so that would make a lot of sense, because obviously if you have something too different, you've got to work out why it's made you that way if it's such a different card. And it's a similar card to this one because it's a card about like bonding and coming together. It's a really beautiful card. It's about like nurturing and loving another and giving what you can to another, and it's like the bond of two really good, great relationships coming together, and it's like mutual harmony. It's a really nice card, and I would say if that's going on in the root of everything, I would say that means a lot to you. I would say that you have this kind of want and desire and need for that, and maybe that has happened to you in your life and you're kind of holding on to that. Not in a bad way, I'm just saying like that's important to you, and you remember, you know, you remember that feeling of coming together and being like a harmonious couple, whether that's a relationship or a friendship. By the way, I'm not necessarily saying this is romantic, and that's going on in the back of your mind as a goal, kind of. I kind of feel subconsciously it should be interesting, consciously, this next card, it should be interesting to see how similar that is to your subconscious. Let's have a look. This is your conscious. This is the forward part of your brain. This is what you think about at night time and what you remember in the morning. It's what you live your life thinking about, pretty much. The Tower. Okay, now let me get this might get a bit confusing to you because I've just told you this is like your conscious card, but the Tower appearing in any position of all of these positions usually, well, always means sudden impact, a big dramatic change, something happened, something big, unexpected. The Tower always means a big event. The reason why it's represented like that is because this lightning bolt here has hit this tower and it's caused some sort of interruption, and they use lightning in this picture because lightning's unpredictable. It doesn't pick and choose where it lands, and the Tower appearing in anyone's reading always in any position represents the now. If this popped up in your previous position, I wouldn't count it as the previous. I'm saying this is happening now. There's something going on that took you by surprise, and that being in the forward part of your brain makes sense anyway. I mean, if something's going on, then you're going to be thinking about it a lot, especially if it's something that's going on enough for a Tower card to appear, because this is a big deal. This is like shaking things up. This is your life right now. It's not just something going on in the background, it's something very forward and in your brain. And I would say whatever appears in your head when I'm talking about the Tower card, that's it. So don't think, oh, could it be that, could it be this? You know what this is. If there's something that first immediately came into your brain, it's that. That's what the Tower card does. So because of the Tower and the Devil looking so similar, as you can see, they're both quite black cards, this thing that's happened is the reason the devil is over you, because they're so similar. Like, it's leaking into your second card here that hinders you. So I would say whatever has happened, it's so different and contrasting to these really two harmonious cards you got here. It's actually quite a gushy pair of cards to get. Like, they're both very like, ah, airy fairy. This is a very grateful card. You're very grateful for what you've got. You share it to other people that need it. That's just the way you are, and I'm feeling there's something going on that's contradicting that, and it's, I don't know, it should be interesting to see if we can see anything that might pop up in the near future which you need to start acting on now to stop it from popping up, because this needs to be changed. You've got such a dramatic line of differences already going on, and we're gonna try and attack that. I nearly punched my tea then. That would make a great video. In the previous position is the previous position. This is what has happened in the past 3 months, 6 months. I would say more 3 months. 6 months always seems so long. I think it's more of the 3 I get the feeling of. So let's have a look. Fairly straightforward, this one. I don't know you very well. I see you comment on stuff a lot. I don't know you personally. I'm always, oh, this is weird. I've never got emotional when reading someone before. You are such a nice person, and I really believe that whatever this power is that makes me read people, it does tell me about somebody. And from what I've got goose pimples. You're such a caring love. You've got so much love to give, and it's beautiful. Basically, my phone's ringing, just ignore that. It's about being nostalgic. It's another happiness card. It's another generosity card. As you can see, she's giving some, is it flowers? No, she's giving a cup to this little girl, and it's about memories. It's about, instead of like dealing with what's going on in the situation, it's about being nostalgic and always looking back. Now, I'm a Cancer. I don't know much about Geminis when it comes to nostalgic stuff, but I'm always looking back. If I was to pick one card that represented me as a person, this would definitely be one of mine for sure, because it's such a escape card. This is the sort of card you would receive if you were kind of keeping yourself blindfolded to what's going on and remaining in the past. I would say you have been looking back, maybe wishing you were there rather than here. I would say you've been very in touch with old attachments, and I would say that's why you've got such a giving nature and why you are such a generous person, because there's a very sensitive soft side to you, and it's very clear. I would like to see this next card as something positive. I don't want this like negative shiz up here to start pushing into your future, but we'll have a look. This is your next 3 months. We've got one later on which will be your next 6 months, I'd say. And let's have a look at this. Okay, we've got a 3 of Wands. Take a little look at that. Okay, so 3 of Wands, literally he's looking out to a really nice view. He's got his wands with him. This is quite a powerful card. This isn't, sometimes when you see a back of someone on a card, you think, oh, they're looking away, it's like not a good thing. But with the 3 of Wands, it's a really powerful card. It means new opportunities, new challenges. It's a really nice fresh start, fresh card. Financially, this is a good card because it means a new financial flourishment of somewhat. There's going to be something that's going to be affecting your financial situation positively, which is fantastic because you asked about that. But in general, I do think perhaps this tower happening right now is going to force you to realize that there's no other way to turn right now other than to somewhere new, someplace new. It's going to force you to, I think, from what I know of you already, I think you're the type of person to push this energy out and know it doesn't belong to you and with you, and it's going to make you walk in a different direction, and then that is going to encourage you, I mean, that is going to make you look into a new light and have a fresh place and a fresh start to work with, and I see that coming for you very soon, which is really interesting. I'd like you to keep me updated about that. So this next one, sort of, I like to see this one as your mask. It's what you put out to the people around you, friends and family. The next one afterwards is your house position, it's your environment, but this is how you put yourself out there to that house and to that environment that you know so well. So your home, your friendship groups, your work life, anything like that. So this is how you present yourself to other people. Got a King of Wands, it's another Wands here. Sometimes like the kings and queens and any court card like that represents more somebody else rather than yourself, it gets confusing. So it could possibly be highlighting like a man in your life, but King of Wands generally is quite a practical, logical card. He doesn't let his, you know, feelings and emotions steer him in any way. He's got goals and he's going to achieve them. My battery just died and then it got cold, so I got myself a little cardigan. So yes, going back to the King of Wands, as I was saying a little minute ago, this court cards, which is cards where it's like king of, queen of, they usually represent someone else. So I would say this represents you being heavily influenced by someone who may have been very successful at some point in their lives. He has much energy, so much energy that he uses in his work or his hobbies, and he can be quite generous and sharing, a bit like you, but the majority of what makes him who he is that he is quite self-serving. So he can be generous, but he mainly likes to look after himself over other people. He's the type of person to always be looking for ways to advance his financial situation with the least effort possible. So he's the type of person to always be looking for new business ideas and to be just a very big business head. And I think you would look up to that. Sorry, I'm itching my armpit. You would look up to that quite a lot. So you asking about advice for financial situations, you're probably inspired by this person and it's sort of affecting you in that way. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's good to be influenced by someone who is kind of in a situation that you would prefer to be in. But this kind of person is usually quite big-headed. They've got quite a big ego. They think other people adore them as much as he adores himself. Yeah, he's got quite a high opinion of himself. That's interesting. I'd like to know who pops up in your head when it comes to that. Now, we've got a house card now, an environment card. This is what sits around you, the types of people you hang with, the types of people you work with, your family life. It's the people you choose and the people you don't choose to have around you. Oh, this is an upside down card. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of Pentacles. So this is a little guy looking over his fruits that he's grown. This is very much about working hard towards something and then looking over all the things that you've gained and grown from working hard. And he's looking a little bit concerned still. Like, he's proud of what he's grown, but he's standing there and thinking, now what? So this is a sort of card you'd get if you have done your stuff, like you've got to a point, kind of like a crossroads, where you're thinking, I've done this great amount of work, now what? Or if you've got itchy feet, you're a bit bored, you want to start doing something else. That's the general meaning of this card. But it's important to consider the fact this is reversed, upside down. Because it's being reversed, it could be telling you that it's all for there to be time for you to do that too. Don't think that made English sense, but this is basically reminding you that you've done some really good things recently and achieved some great things, and you're not celebrating that enough, and you're not kind of giving yourself enough credit for it. It's encouraging you to do what this man's doing, which is stopping and looking over the lovely things that you have made for yourself. And it's in your environment position, because these things are everywhere around you. You've physically made things, maybe you've got things that you've achieved, maybe that's even financially, I mean physical money, I don't know, but you've worked towards something and you've done really well. You just need to give yourself credit, darling. This is one of my favorite positions next. This is an advice position. This card does nothing else but give advice, which is why I love it, because that's the whole main reason why we go get our tarot read, right? We want to know what the hell to do with our life. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Let's find out what you need to know the most. This is another upside down reversed card. This probably is one of the most scariest looking ones out of all of them, because he's got multiple swords on his back and he's kind of lying there like, ouch. But this isn't physical. Like, you're not about to, you know, do some Final Destination type stuff and walk outside and swords are gonna fall on your back. Swords is a what's the word? Oh my god, what's the word I'm looking at? Like, swords represents words. So this would be about being told something, literally backstabbed, and this is about, I mean, it's quite, what you see is what you kind of get with this card. If you know this card relates to your life already, then you know. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you would feel like this guy. Like, you might see this card and go, yep. But I might see this card and go, because I don't really relate to it. But this card represents how this guy feels, and he's not actually lying there with swords in his back. This is more about how your brain might tell you that you're feeling right now. It's not a literal card. I hope that makes sense. So he's kind of saying, you think you got it bad, look at me, like, look at all these swords in my back. He's displaying it for people to see. It's in reverse though, so we need to remember that. Can sometimes flip the meaning. So remember this being a position of advice. So this is trying to tell you something. Now I would say that seeing this here is, I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I'm going to say as I see them, because what's the point in you having this in the first place if I'm going to make stuff up and make it better for you? You are very unlikely to see satisfaction that you desire and want, obviously, in the path that you're in the situation that you are sitting in right now. You're going to be let down by someone who you trusted or you previously trusted. It is very difficult for someone to betray you when you haven't regarded them as somebody you can trust and confide in, because they aren't aware of your hopes, your dreams, and what motivates you. If someone has so little meaning to you and does something to harm you, he is not nearly so hurtful, because such an act would not seem so out of character. But if you were to allow someone in with confidence, and you do let them into your life to a certain degree, and they were to take your trust, use it in a way that's harmful to you, you feel these destructive forces that manifest themselves through like such a deep feeling of betrayal. And then after you've gathered your composure, you will emerge much wiser to the ways of certain individuals who are close to you. You have a far future card though, so people usually like get a little bit worried about future cards because they think, it's the be all end all. But your future, although most people who do tarot cards would say the future is set in stone, I don't necessarily 100% believe that, because the whole point of doing tarot cards is that if you see something in your future that you don't like, you have the opportunity to change it, unlike other people that don't know what's to come. So I think tarot reading's a good way to assess the whole situation and change the things that it warns you of. I think some things in life are set in stone, but this kind of stuff is things that you can change and handle with. And although you have got some elements here with the devil and the tower, these things aren't really in your control. This is more about the way life is just running for you right now because of the situation happening that is completely out of your hands. However, the way you respond to it and how you come out of the other end is totally changeable. What is it? Life is 80% what happens to you and 20% how you respond to it. This is like the quote I'm going to give you from your reading, because it's very true when it comes to this. Don't freak out if it's bad. You've got a really good near future coming, so we'll be able to tell, if anything, what the reason is for this new page, this new change that's going to happen, this new start. And we're going to see where that leads and whether we can make sure it doesn't happen in that way or does happen. Okay, I get this card quite a lot. So this is a 5 of Pentacles. So this in some way is actually quite similar to this card which we spoke about, which is you and who you are and what you stand for and just you to the core. It's this card as an opposite. So this is about you giving. Now this I would say is more about you receiving. So in the future, far future, you're going to find yourself in a place where you need to be reaching out for help. This usually represents more financial and funds and stuff, so whether that's like materially you will need to ask for help from somebody, which is interesting because we spoke about how in the near future you're going to find this new sort of flow of income, and then it's going to kind of like, I feel like your income is always going to be a little bit for now. Like, I don't see any huge permanent changes. I think it's still going to be a bit up and down and a bit rocky. This can also represent a loss. of some sort, so it doesn't necessarily need to be financially. What we could do is focus on the things that are kind of standing out, which are all these top cards. Actually, these are all black, which contradicts so much to who you are, and I think that's important to mention, because that's the things that stand out in a reading is usually the things that are trying to speak to you the most and tell you the most. So I would say we need to kind of grab hold of this like devil tower situation by the balls in order for this lovely like change of mind you're going to have of looking ahead to a different time to not lead into a place of loss and sadness. So let's go over the whole spread as a whole. Now I can see it all. I can tell you which cards go together to mean something else. I can kind of give you an overall summary of what I feel this is telling you. So once again, I'm not here to sugarcoat things. There's no point me doing this if I'm gonna make stuff up or make it sound more appealing to you, but I would say this is suggesting that quite soon, in the far future, if you call that soon, you or someone near to you is going to experience some form of financial difficulties. Okay, so this doesn't necessarily need to be you, it could be someone close, and there will be some form of like material anxiety in your life for a little bit, because you are having to strap down with, you know, your outgoings. There will be a little bit of worry, anxiety, a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to be something that you're not able to deal with at all. We never get put through something that we can't deal with. But the cool thing about this card, even though it does have quite a lot of sadness attached to it, is that this stained glass window here is actually the main focus point of the card. So although we can see someone who's struggling, who's outside in the cold, and remember tarot cards are always a lot more dramatic, so like I could just tell you this is financial difficulties, and yet the tarot card literally shows you homeless people. Like, tarot card pictures are dramatic for a reason, so you can read them easy. But yeah, so you see, oh, people like sad walking like in the streets, like poverty, blah blah blah. But the focus of this is the light in the stained glass window. So this is a difficult phase that will pass. There is always light in every situation. There's always an end to every situation. You need to be prudent with your dealings of other people, and you'll easily be able to weather the financial and emotional dry spell that this card shows. It's a warning sign basically to not lose faith. The future may challenge you, but if, like I said, if you make solid choices now, you can be on the other side of that stained glass window I was telling you about. And remember, I spoke about embracing the good things and celebrating the good things. There's a lot on here that might suggest that you should do that, such as this one and this one. Remember, being upside down encourages you to start thinking about that. This is doing the same thing. It's telling you to embrace the good things, the light, even in dark places, to look towards what is good and what is going for you. Now, while I'm here, while I'm talking about this, I do want to say, and the tower coming in with this is totally about outside forces. This is things out of your control, but we already have spoken about this, and that your faith in yourself has been the saddest victim in recent life. This is the kind of card that represents abandoning all principle in the pursuit of pleasure. So adhering to your own selfishness so deeply that you become a slave to the desire itself, which, I mean, the devil card pops up. So the devil is a card all about desire, and it's kind of a card where I like to see it as you're sort of like losing your head of logicness, and you're sort of going in too far, too deeply into temptations. The devil's all about temptations, so whether that's literal drugs, alcohol temptations, or it could easily be emotional temptations. I would say, from looking at this, all of these things put together, there needs to be some sort of denial broken about your relationship to the material plane in general, and money specifically. There are some forces that are controlling your finance, whether it's, I don't know, a stingy parent, another half that's quite aloof, a credit card arrangement, I don't know, and you're kind of stunted in growth due to this. And obviously the lack of control over your destiny is like the most frustrating aspect of everything, clearly. And that tower card's saying that, it's just confirming that, like, a lot of what's going on right now is hugely out of your hands, I would say financially. So this guy here he sort of works as a metaphor for what destiny might bring. There is a role of other people playing in control of your situation for sure right now, which is interesting. Now the good news is that you have used all of your own devices to get to where you are currently, and for that reason, if there is need for progress right now, you're going to need to seek outside assistance from those individuals who are willing to lend a helping hand, and that's really important in your situation right now. Now we've spoken a little bit about your kind of mindset with material things and financial things right now. Someone near to you who is a little bit too preoccupied with the material things of the world. You may have made some form of deal with the devil of the amount of things that you feel that you need in order to survive. I think that's something to think about right now. Try to remind yourself of how little we actually need as people to be happy and to be content, and how it's not about how many things we have, but how much the things we have mean to us. And be honest with yourself with that. So don't just say, you know, all these things make me happy. Do they? Why do they? Do they have meaning behind them? Do you just want a lot of things, or do you want a good quality of things? I would say the Two of Cups in this reading is actually a difficult relationship affecting the positives going on in your life right now. Relationship issues are hindering everything else going on right now. I would say this is someone who has got together with someone for all of the wrong reasons, and I would say that the person receiving this reading is having second thoughts about continuing on. It started and it's kind of like someone's car horn went off at the exact same time I went and it sounded hilarious. Perhaps you or the partner are both kind of using the relationship as a way to gain your own gains, and that's not healthy. It's not harmonious, which is what you want. You need to improve your ability to communicate so that you can add meaning to your life that you're in again. I would say with this relationship card down here, coming in with the devil as possibly the person that you're dealing with right now, the partner that you're talking about, could have a lot of difficulties regarding drugs and maybe even heavy drink consumption. Now I would say to you to be on the lookout for opportunities that are gonna come to you disguised as a loss. So like with the Tower card, it seems bad on the face of things, literally, but there is always something on the backside of that. So losing a house, but then realizing that the next one you find actually makes you a lot happier than the first one did, but you didn't realize that the first one was making you sad in the first place. Losing a job, but then realizing if you didn't lose that job, you wouldn't be job hunting and come across something that you never even realized that you really wanted, and it makes you happy. See what I mean? When one door opens, another one, when one door closes, another one opens, and all that jazz. Or when one door closes, another window opens somewhere else. There is always an alternative, always. I feel like you are lacking in the imagination to perceive them. Like you are going, this is the way it is, I'm gonna have to deal with this now. It's not. You are such a powerful person. You have all the ability to go and seek the better option somewhere else. You don't have to go through this in the way you feel that you deserve or that you're supposed to. Actually, no, you need to focus on what this guy's doing, and he's going and seeking a different place, a different view. He's off. He's ready for something different and new, and he's not looking back. There's so much innocence with you. With this previous card we got, this represents many feelings that you've had recently about childhood. As an adult, it is so important to reflect on the impressions that have recently been brought forward to you. When you were younger, you might not have been equipped with the ability to fully understand life experiences and oh my lord, okay. I was getting really annoyed about my camera just constantly dying, so I've switched to my phone. I'm sorry if there's a dramatic change in quality, but it was really pissing me off. Okay, so basically what I was saying is, as a child, you might not be able to see the things that are going on, like life experiences, and change them into a way that you can use them to grow as a person, but you now as an adult should be able to do that, and you need to kind of let go of some of that like childish way of seeing things. And it's a weird way to to say this to you, because I don't want to say to stop being a child, because you're not. I think you have quite a nice, like, innocent way of living life, but sometimes you need to not be so vulnerable and let yourself be so open to being totally innocent, and you need that kind of immaturity sometimes to be let go of, because some of it has played a huge part into some neglect in your situation. There is some behaviour at this time on your part which will be under like huge scrutiny and will carry a burden. I hope that makes sense to you. I am worried about that a little bit. So yeah, we discussed with the Three of Wands, this being a great card, that this card probably works best and is the best to see in the future position. There is a lot of hope that holds in this card. You might find yourself amongst a lot of other people with a like-minded goal very soon, ambition, and you're like conquering it together. It's a really good card, but I mean, this does make sense with this one being so not similar with your far future. This is quite a temporary card. This will be something that only will happen for a little period in your life, because it's about a very specific task that needs to be achieved by all these people. It's not a long-term thing. This is something that will come and go, but it holds a lot of importance because it will serve as a satisfying experience, which will help you build up the confidence you need within yourself. Now, going back to your environment card, we spoke about this little guy being you. Because it's an environment position though, I want to focus a little bit on this possibly representing those around you. I feel there might be a lot of people around you right now contemplating your situation, or a situation, doesn't need to be yours, about a certain issue that could have a successful outcome or might not have a successful outcome, not be something that they wanted and desired. And it's something that isn't like an instant thing. It's a lot of people waiting over something, whether that's like days, weeks, months. There's some form of like, it could be like a major project of some form. So looking over everything here as this reading comes to an end, there's a lot here to take in. I feel what you should take from this the most is seeing the alternative and running for it. You've got this form of like influence and power over you, and it's sort of it's like I'm just picturing someone stood here and just this like black cloud coming over and darkening every good part you've got going on. I think you need to have more faith. I think you need to let go of what you truly know deep down that you should be letting go of, is honestly what I want to say here. But I want to say to you that what I tell you should not come in between what you feel like you need to do. No matter how good of a psychic or tarot reader or medium or whatever anyone can say to you they are, you know what's best. I think as an individual, you are the only one in control of what happens, and I think that in itself is the power of how life works. You in your brain are telling yourself what to do and how you're supposed to be doing it and what should happen. I believe that we need to go through the things that we need to go through anyway. So if I was to tell you to do one thing and you decided to do the other, what you did is better than what I told you to, because that's your life lesson. You need to go through it anyway. Perhaps you need to do the thing to get into a place that teaches you a lesson. Do you know what I'm saying here? It's difficult because I don't want to be the person that says don't do it, and then you go and tell that person that I said that and I just look like a jerk, you know. It's just what I'm reading. I'm not saying it from Ellie's perspective. I'm reading it in like a bunch of cards. It doesn't mean anything from my own point of view. It's just what's come up in the spread. If Bob sat here and I did a reading for Bob, I'd say the same thing. So it's what you want to take from it. If you want to believe a bunch of cards, then do it, or whatever. I want you to act practical at this time. Try not to be too caught up in the material things of life. Maybe start budgeting really hard. You might do it anyway, but I feel financially things might still be a little bit difficult in the far future. Just act now as someone who knows that there could be a struggle in the future, and I think in the future it will be a lot less hard because I've kind of given you that warning in some way. Start saving pennies. Pennies will turn into pounds. Pounds will turn into $1 million. Just kidding. But I think this sort of waiting for something here that people around you are doing might not have the outcome that they expected. You know, I told you like a group of people are waiting for something. I reckon it won't necessarily be what they anticipated, because there is a wait, and then there is a similar pentacle card here where it's like a negative, but I feel like there is so much reason behind that happening. I think the Tower is the reason for it happening. I don't know whether it's the thing that's happened to you right now is kind of the blame to this loss of finance or something, but I want you to remember that stained glass window. Keep focused on the light, and don't assume that what you're going through is deserved and it's like the way it is. It's not. You can turn it around. You can fly off in a different direction. Before I leave, I want to take an angel card for you, because I don't usually do this. This is the first time I've done this, because I got a new pack. Whoop. These are oracle cards. I call them angel cards, they're oracle cards. I'm going to take one of these, because this is something that you can take from I like to give it as a thing to remember. So like maybe write the quote down or something on your wall or on your mirror or something. Because I've given you quite like a negative ending, I want to give you some push of inspiration to stop that ending from happening, you know? So Ali, I'm going to end with this final card here, and it is Brilliant Virgin. Ooh. It's a 5. It's this beautiful card here. I've only just got given these, so I don't know any of their meanings by heart, so I'm just going to read out what the Virgin card means. We need to be bold of heart and have a lot of faith. Wow, this whole thing was about faith. When there is an idea within us yet to be manifested, we have to trust in what we see in our hearts, even if sometimes the eyes in our heads see things rather differently. So this is about going with your heart over your head. I think that's what you should take from this. We have to trust that inner vision, the hope, the dream within us is going to be strong enough to stand and be able to come to life in the world. Sometimes we have to trust that we are enough, that we have goodness, value and worth, and so are worth the time, effort, patience and commitment required to transform our ideas into reality. This card brings you a message. Stay true to you and your course. Do not allow yourself to be swayed by another, no matter how well-meaning their intentions may be or how impressive their arguments may seem. You see, know, feel, believe in something that is good, pure and true, that needs to come to life in this world. It is meant to be original, so people may not get it straight away. It is meant to happen through you because you understand it in a way that others may not. This could be a choice to do with health, lifestyle, relationships, money or work. It could also be a project, an idea, in a creative expression, dream or vision that you are growing in your heart. Some people believe that unless you compromise, success cannot happen. This is not true for you at this time, so do not water down the strength of your vision, your dream. You are meant to be birthing something unique into being. So I'm going to leave you with that, and hopefully that's helped you. I'd love to hear some feedback if any of it makes sense or nothing has made sense. I'd much rather you be honest, because there's no point telling me that I've done a good job if I haven't, because I'm not learning that way. And the same way as I was honest to you about things I've seen, there's no point doing this if I'm making it up. Thank you very much for watching. Stay happy and trust yourself.